I feel like nowadays it doesn't take much to make a movie that makes people just sit back and think, what the heck was that? And you have to think a little bit outside of the normal bubble in order to do that. And I feel like it's best explained in a movie that I watched recently called They Will Kill You. Now, obviously, right off the bat, this is a movie that is a bit of an indie film. I believe that the budget must have been super low, but I feel like the cinematography speaks for itself. I know that I'm about to like munch up a bunch of different things, but I feel like it's a movie that needs to be talked about because honestly, like, not a lot of movies like this come around very often. And trust me when I say this one truly did surprise me. So let's start off by talking about the casting of this movie. Obviously, we have Zazie Beetz, who is incredible in this movie. Obviously, we know her from all these other things she's done, like Joker or Deadpool 2. And I feel like it's so important to have a lead like her in these movies. And I'll talk about a little bit later of the elements that I really liked about her in this movie. But she did absolutely fantastic here. And honestly, commendable to every extent. And then obviously we have our weirdo characters like Tom Felton, Heather Graham, Patricia Arquette, people who we are familiar with. All these are people who are fantastic actors. Surprisingly so, showing up in a movie that I would never even conceive that they would pop up in a movie like this and do the things that they do and interact the way they would interact in this movie, but they do. And, obviously Tom Felton, that we know from all the way back in Harry Potter, and now he's here in this movie as a pop-up that I never even expected, but he was great in this movie, as well as Heather Graham and Patricia Arquette, which recently we've seen her in Severance, but I feel like she plays similarly to that role, and honestly, I have nothing but praise to talk about these characters that play these weirdos who are part of this satanic cult, which is wild to think about. And obviously we have Mihaela as well on this movie, who plays the sister, the younger sister to Asia in this movie. I love the sisterly dynamic that we have here between these two characters who honestly are actually feel like they could easily be siblings who are sort of bickering and actually are written pretty well into this movie. So I just love Mihaela here in this movie, even though her role is sort of secondary, but she is the focal point of why we have Asia coming in to sort of like fix this whole situation. And I love that. And someone who I did not expect to be popping up here on this movie as the head of a pig that talks is James Remar, who obviously recently we've been talking about him in Dexter Resurrection. Talk about resurrection, because he's literally a pig head. And obviously the pig head is supposed to be, this demonic being or whatever it is, who is sort of like keeping all these people alive, which is so weird. But I feel like leaning into the weird is where this movie is at, and I feel like it does it really well. So seeing James here is awesome. So other than the actors, I have to say cinematography was incredible. Crispy, beautiful, incredibly shot. This movie is incredibly shot. Every instance of this movie, symmetry, how certain shots are taken into position are just absolutely amazing. I love seeing good cinematography, some crispy, buttery smooth cinematography. Again, another movie that is literally bathing in cinematic butter. This is literally there. It's literally, from shots of how they capture people inside, these vents. Incredible. It's a tight space, but how it's executed is very well done. The fight sequences, how they are shot incredibly well. I just absolutely love the overall look of this movie, and it just elates me how well it's shot. Now, speaking of cinematography, the action in this movie is incredible as well. Again, we're talking about I don't like to say it's a Tarantino type movie, but it is very Tarantino-esque. How it's shot, from how it's shot to the story itself. And obviously, these characters doing what they do and how, ridiculous something may seem at the moment. It's action-packed to an extreme that most people would consider to be almost cartoonish. So this movie is very gory. Very gory. There are moments where you're like, holy cow, like she just cut the guy's head off. And then you find out that you can't kill them that way. So ultimately, they create a twist in your mind as you're going through the story. And it plays out sort of like what a Tarantino movie would do. So in this case, it plays out in that manner. And then you have an incredible role with Zazie Beetz and how action-packed she pulled off these stunts for this movie. I mean, honestly, I did not see that many moments where they were using a stunt double for her, because you can see her face most of the time. And now you're going to say, oh, they could have easily CG'd her face in there. Sure, you can CG a lot of things nowadays. And there is some CG in this movie as well when it comes to the pig head and everything. But in this specific scenario, I feel like she did a lot of physicality for this role. I mean, heck, let's stop and think about this for a second, okay? She has a fight sequence pretty early on in the movie where she is literally kicking butt in her underwear, which means, like, I mean, I would like somebody to, like, probably put down in the comments below, what other movie have you watched where the character in question is kicking butt, like literally slaughtering other characters while they're in their underwear? Like, you could probably say a lot of guys have done that. You could probably say, like, you could pick a movie where a male character is doing that, but a female character doing that, I mean, that's like awesome. Like, awesome to the nth degree. It is incredible. Like, what she is able to do physically in this movie is awesome. And it just shows that when you give a movie of this caliber to an actress who is willing to push boundaries, heck, you get yourself a really interesting movie. And I also have to give props to the score of this film, because there are some really cool beats. Like, some moments in this movie, they drop like a song, and it's like this really cool rap music, and she's like slaughtering guys, slaughtering people, and you're just like bopping your head to the beat because it's so good. Like, it just fits for that character so well, what music they're actually playing for her. Like, if she was like some sort of like ballerina, like, you would never hear that type of music, but because she's like this ex-prisoner, and she like broke out of prison to go and try to save her sister, like, all these things like play into this character through the music, and I just love that. So huge props to the people who designed the music for this movie, because they got it on the nail. Now, obviously, there is that question of like what could possibly be wrong with this movie, and honestly, I would say like the main thing that I would say is like a diminishing factor of this movie is the story itself. Not that it's bad, but that it's kind of weak. It's an okay story. Like, you're not expecting a whole lot of depth, but you do expect to have some sort of empathy and depth for the character that you are wanting to root for. So I don't think that it was a terrible script. I think it was a pretty good script. But at the same time, I wish that there was a little bit more depth to the characters. But I feel like that's the only real caveat I see here. Because other than that, this movie's pretty awesome. Once you lean into the ridiculous with this movie, you just start to have a whole lot more fun. Like, you can't really treat this like an Oscar-winning movie. You have to treat it like a movie that you're just sitting down and wanting to have fun. And I feel like I heard the expression recently when someone was talking about, I think it was Mortal Kombat 2. They were saying there's some movies that are fun, and then there's some movies that are dumb fun. This one is just dumb fun. That's all it is. Like, movies that are fun, there are movies that are dumb, and then there's movies that are just dumb fun. This is just dumb fun. That's all it is. You're just here sitting back and wanting to see a woman just absolutely slaughter a bunch of people who are trying to get in her way, and then sort of like creatively see themselves, put themselves back together again. Honestly, I had a blast with this movie. It doesn't have to be the greatest movie in the world, and it's not even close to being that. It's just a movie that you can put on and just have fun with, and I feel like it succeeds in all aspects. And something that I definitely see them doing possibly in the future, hopefully, fingers crossed, is they make a sequel to this movie. Hopefully they have the money and the budget to do it. I don't think you need a whole lot of money to make this movie. I don't think it was an expensive movie to make in the first place, so making a second one would be very interesting. Like, her finding out that there's a network of other cults that she has to go after, and now that she's kind of like sort of invincible, or having added herself to the list per se, which means that she can't technically be killed, would be very interesting to see how that plays out. And if they do it correctly, it could possibly be like one of the best cult films of all time, amongst one of the best cult films of all time, even though the subject matter is cults, but the cult that I'm talking about is like, you understand what I'm talking about. But then again, like I say in all my videos, these are just my opinions, my thoughts, the crazy things that happen in my brain when I am in bed at night trying to sleep. But then again, I have to just let it all out to you guys, and I want to throw it to you. I want to know what you guys think. Did you guys like this movie? Did you not watch this movie? Have I convinced you enough to go watch this movie? Because I think everybody should get a chance to see this movie. If you're into like those movies where it's absolutely ridiculous and almost cartoony to a certain extent, but you can have a whole lot of fun with, do it. Watch this show. You're going to have such a fun time with it. And honestly, there's nothing more satisfying than seeing all these crazy situations play out in this movie and just sitting back and enjoying it with popcorn and some people who just want to have fun. But again, that's my opinion, and I want to hear yours down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, movie savant, what a scene. Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savants got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.